We're very fortunate to have teamed up with the New Forest Centre, as the venue is superb and the staff have enthusiastically, as you will see, embraced the theme and helped produce this memorable evening. Tonight we have Mr. Ednyfed Hudson-Davies. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did very well.
Thank you. Welsh was not my strong subject at school. Who is chairman of the trustees of the New Forest Centre, who would like to add his welcome to ours. Mr. Hudson-Davies.
Well, thank you, Paul, very much indeed. It's a real delight and an honour and a privilege to us as the New Forest Centre to welcome you here for the launch tonight of this fantastic Alice adventure, which is going to run not just for this week, but runs right through. You've seen the programme of events that will run through right through till December. It's a proper celebration of Alice. And Alice, of course, and with this will come up many times during the evening, there's a very strong Lyndhurst link. Now, before we say anything else, I would like to thank, one can't thank everyone who's been involved. There are so many on the committee. Paul, you've been very active there. There are other names, particularly Angela Trend, Joan Bisson, and Clive Tibbles, the treasurer, who've all put in a huge input in making this fantastic event possible. Now, it's very interesting. We've always, as a museum, from our early days as a trust here, we've featured Alice because of the links, and not everyone knows of these links, between Alice, the real Alice, Alice Liddell, who was, as it were, the prototype for Alice of the books, when she married, was here at Cuffnells, a fine house now sadly demolished, just on the outskirts of Lyndhurst. Now, it's very interesting, when you think of the author of the Alice books, the creator of all these wonderful characters whom we've seen, many of them here tonight, brought to life again. Charles Dodson, otherwise known as Lewis Carroll. One thinks of him very often, perhaps, as an amusing children's author. But remember also that he took a first in mathematics at Oxford and was a Don at Christ Church in mathematics, and a man of great learning, a scientist, a photographer, a mathematician, but also charmed by children. And when a new dean, Henry Liddell, came to Christ Church, he had 3 daughters, and Charles Dodson was captivated by them and took them out on river punting trips and so on. And Alice, the youngest of them, was the person whom he had in mind when he wrote Wonderland and when he wrote The Looking Glass. And the interesting thing is, he wrote also a very interesting mathematical book where he was trying, as it were, to introduce mathematics to children. Now, Queen Victoria had read Wonderland, and I don't know whether it's an apocryphal tale or whether it's true, but wrote to Lewis Carroll, to Charles Dodson, saying that she would love a copy of his next book, and expected to get another, something very similar to Alice in Wonderland, and what she got was a learned mathematical treatise. The interesting thing is that in Wonderland and in The Looking Glass, I used to lecture in philosophy, and I used to tell my students that the best way to introduce young people, children, to the complexity of logic and reasoning and language and the nuances of language was to let them read the Lewis Carroll books, because he, as it were, draws children's attention to accurate reasoning by indulging in unreason. He introduces logic by making fun of illogicality. And this plays right through. He realizes enormously clearly the value of the pun as a way of understanding the nuances of language. And you can read all his works on those two levels. And the one book that he wrote for children on mathematics was called The Tangled Trend. But that was specifically to try to make children feel that mathematics was fun. But I think there's a message, and I'll finish with this. There's a message in Carroll for the world today, because he understood and made fun of, as it were, the difference between what is logical and what is illogical, reasonable and unreasonable. And there's one lovely quote. I think I have it here. Yes. "I can't believe that," said Alice. "Can't you?" said the Queen in a pitying tone. "Try again. Draw a long breath and shut your eyes." Alice laughed. "There's no use trying," she said. "One can't believe impossible things." "I dare say you haven't had much practice," said the Queen. "When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast." Well, now, it's a serious comment, because the world is full of people who believe impossible things and kill each other for it. When you look at the range of beliefs that people have all over the world and are willing to kill others who don't share the same belief, you see what a nonsense it is. You know, there are very few things. The things that are true, you are sure of. But the strange thing in the world today, and Carroll understood this very well, is people who believe things with no foundation at all. And they believe them so devoutly that they are willing to kill for them. Well, that's Lewis Carroll, a great man. This is a great festival. We'll hear shortly from a descendant of his, and that's the link, and Paul will be introducing a very important guest of honor tonight, who is the link between Lyndhurst and Lewis Carroll. But we are very privileged. Lewis Carroll was a great writer. Alice was a great character, and there are many lessons to be learned from the writings of Lewis Carroll. So a great festival. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hudson-Davies. I won't risk ruining a thing by trying to pronounce your first name again.
You said it, Ednyfed, you said it perfectly the first time.